Let's now speak to Father Stan Chu Ilo, a research fellow on world Catholicism and African studies at the DePaul University in Chicago in the United States. Father, thank you so much for your time and for speaking to us this afternoon. Now, how significant is this passing of the Pope, especially for the global Catholic community, considering his unique background as well as his leadership style?
Thank you very much. The death of Pope Francis is a huge loss to the Catholic Church and to the world. Those of us who worked with him, and all of us saw him yesterday. We were not expecting the news this morning, but if you like, he chose, or God chose for him, the best time to die. The time we're celebrating the resurrection, new life. But by all accounts, this Pope is perhaps one of the most consequential popes of our time, because he was chosen by the cardinals to reform the church, and he went about that with single-mindedness, determination, courage, like a prophet. So he's initiated perhaps the most fundamental reform in the Catholic Church since the Second Vatican Council, especially with the Synod on Synodality. For the first time in the history of the Catholic Church, Catholics were summoned to openness, dialogue about everything in the church: leadership, liturgy, inclusion, involvement of everyone, poverty, development, ecology. Nothing was off the table. So, and that process is continuing. He set up 10 commissions to look at the most controversial topics that were raised during the Synod on Synodality, and the study groups are to submit their report this May. So, in a sense, his legacy and the continuation of that legacy all together present to the church and the world a fundamental challenge.
Most certainly. I mean, the Pope has also just been described as someone who had a vision for Africa. And you've written about a trip that he took to Bangui, the capital of the Central African Republic, during a time of war. Why was this visit so symbolic?
The Pope has always been a Pope for the margins. So when he was presented to the world, he said to the world, the cardinals have gone to the farthest end of the earth to choose a pope. And so in my study of this papacy and the work I did for the Holy See was doing theology from the existential periphery. This pope always said, we must go to the margin, the center, Rome, or New York, or Washington, or London, any of these places. We must go beyond the center to the margins. So he went to Central Africa. It's the margin, places where people are forgotten, where people were fighting, Muslims, Christians. And he went there to announce that we are all one family. One of his most important documents is Fratelli Tutti. We are all brothers and sisters. So that's why he went to announce the good news that the gospel is about nonviolence. It's not about dominating the other. It's not about shaming the other. It's not about destroying the other, manipulating the other, or exploiting the other. It's about loving the other. You know that the motto of this Pope is mercy. Mercy, that God always looks at us with a merciful eye, not with an eye of judgment, condemnation, and destruction and punishment. Therefore, he insisted this should be the same eye with which we look at the other, the eye of mercy, of love, compassion, kindness. He calls it the revolution of tenderness. And that's why he went to Bangui. That's why he went to Congo. That's why he went to Sudan. All the trouble spots in Africa, he went to to announce the good news of peace, love, and human fraternity.
And also at the center of his heart were women and the roles that they play in leadership, and also young people. And you've helped organize a very historic virtual meeting between Pope Francis and 1,000 young Africans. What stood out for you in that conversation?
Yeah, I must say that it's one of those special moments that I will never forget. They will remain green in my memory for the rest of my life. What stood out for me was the Pope's connection with young people and his ability to listen. He paid attention to everyone. He responded to them by name. He was fully present, as if to say that was the only thing that mattered for him on that day, November the 1st, 2022, with these African young people. So for me, it is that ability to be present. The Pope said, Pope Francis said, when you stand before another person, remember you are standing on holy ground. And he personified that, he modeled that in his own presence to these young people. When he went to Congo, he made the effort, said, I want to meet those young Africans that I met virtually. So they traveled all the way to Kinshasa to be with the Pope, those of them that came from Congo. This is what leadership is all about. This is what love looks like.
All right, Father Stan Chu Ilo, thank you so much for your time and just giving us some of the experiences that you've personally shared with the Pope. Thank you for joining us this afternoon.